Now, Season 5 is right around the corner, and if you thought the last season was a little bit of a mix-up, then Season 5 will probably be pretty different. Well, hopefully. And I've spent hundreds of hours grinding pretty much every season, analyzing balanced patches, coaching players through metas that range from pure chaos to genuinely perfect. And today I'm breaking down my full Season 5 wish list, the things that this game so desperately needs. From new heroes and reworks to long overdue quality of life changes to game-changing raid features, this is everything I want in Marvel Rivals Season 5. If you enjoy breakdowns like this, drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and of course, let's dive straight in. Now, this video is something different than I typically do. I'm just gonna have background footage and me just talking about the wish list, what I would like to see. Now, this video is a open discussion video, so you can have your own opinions and thoughts in the comments down below. I would love to hear what you have to say about Season 5. Now, this first section is a real conversation about strategist balancing. This first talking point is a real conversation about strategist balancing. Now, right now, the role is in a weird spot in my opinion. Some heroes feel unkillable, while others are completely irrelevant. It's time for buffs that reward smart positioning, and nerfs that tone down spammy ultimates, and maybe even a few synergy reworks so strategists actually feel different from one another again. And right now, the balance just doesn't reward what the role was meant to represent. Map control, awareness, and team coordination. Instead, we've ended up with a few brain-off ultimates dominating fights, while actual strategic play honestly barely matters. I mean, honestly, Season 5 needs to shift that focus back. Give us buffs that reward smart positioning and game sense, not raw numbers. And honestly, they need to tone down the spammy crowd control chains and the press Q to win mechanics, especially for strategists. If you have a Luna Snow ultimate, Invisible Woman, or whatever, you just press Q and you typically win the fight if you play it right. I think the game shouldn't necessarily rely too much on ultimates to try to focus back on mechanics, but I doubt they would do that because it's such a core, well, mechanic. So continuing on this trend, there's certain heroes in this game, in the strategist role, that don't really operate like a strategist. Take, for example, the biggest in question is Ultron. Now, Ultron did receive a nerf in Season, 4.5, but the nerf wasn't, in my opinion, significant enough to really impact him in any way. Yes, the healing and the ultimate charge is nice. The healing, I don't really understand that part of the change. I think the biggest reason why Ultron was picked so much was due to the fact that he got his ult extremely fast, so they nerfed that. That's perfectly fine. The other reason is that he just does a ton of damage, and that wasn't really changed at all. If anything, I think they revert the healing change, and they just nerfed the damage, and he's better. I'm not saying that, doing both is okay. I think doing both can be fine, but I think him not having the healing and having his damage getting nerfed too would probably just be making the character unplayable, unfortunately. The big picture is the character just does a ton of damage. His healing wasn't really necessary for him to survive. Yes, it allowed him to get his ultimate faster, but the damage was the biggest factor. And I think if they truly wanted to nerf Ultron, I think they just how to nerf his damage overall. Then comes Jeff. Now, don't get mad at me, all my Jeff mains out there. Jeff is a menace. He's very annoying, let's be honest. The character gets his ult extremely fast. He's practically unkillable if you play him right. He does a decent amount of healing and damage because he cleaves, which, I don't know if it's a good thing or not. I think one way to nerf this character is by nerfing the cleave, getting rid of it maybe. I'm not exactly sure how to nerf the character, but the character does need to see some sort of change so that there is some counterplay to it. Yes, there is counterplay to it, whether it's Iron Man ult, Magneto ult, or just focus firing, but for the majority of the time, when he ults, very hard to deal with, he's very hard to kill if the character is played right, and just overall is extremely annoying. So some change to Jeff needs to be coming in Season 5. Following that, there was some changes to Adam. Mantis could, in my opinion, receive some sort of a change. I'm not exactly what the change would be, whether it's a buff or a nerf. She is quite strong right now. She enables her team extremely well, so I think that's a good thing. However, I think some of the numbers that she does for damage boosting or healing boosting might need to be tweaked. I'm not 100% sure in what way, but definitely some sort of change to Mantis. Now, don't get me wrong, I like Marvel Rivals. The game is unique for the most part. The characters are unique as well. I think the biggest thing why I'm not the biggest fan of this game entirely is mainly because the game is all ultimate dependent. You don't necessarily need insane mechanics to be good at the game, you just have to have better ultimate timing. That's literally it. It rewards sloppy and 50-50 fights rather than just raw mechanics having better aim than someone else, which, don't get me wrong, I think outbraining someone is more satisfying, but I think mechanics need to be proven more. Now, moving away from just strategists in general, so I'm not just completely bashing them, I think general balancing needs to be addressed. Now, when it comes to a game like Marvel Rivals, it's a hero shooter. Yes, they are going for the more casual approach in quotations, but there gets to a point to where you have the casual side and you have the competitive side. You've seen this from multiple games. I've seen games that try to cater to both sides that ultimately end up failing. You probably see it a lot and hear about it a lot as well. When companies appeal to the more casual side, typically they leave characters unbalanced, they leave the mechanics unbalanced, and they just pump out content. Now, I'm not saying that's bad or anything. It's cool. You get new content. But eventually, the unbalanced slop gets very annoying just for any casual player, at least in my experience, in my opinion, what I see my friends talk about as well. I think Marvel Rivals, if they want to also have an esports scene, they probably have to balance the game right. I know people are going to get mad at me for saying that, but again, if you want a esports game in a game like this, then you probably have to balance the game right so that the pro scene can be viewed properly. You've seen countless teams and organizations pulling out of Marvel Rivals recently because I guess the player base, the balancing of it, and viewership just isn't good enough for those organizations, for like Sentinels, for example. So I think some general balancing has to be done in order for the game to really see the market and see the limelight. Again, these are just open topic questions I'm putting out that you can put your own replies in the comments down below. Now, continuing on this little bit of a balancing rant, I think is communication and how NetEase approaches balancing Marvel Rivals. Right now, they go with the approach of highest pick rate characters and win rates determining the balancing of the game. I don't think that's a good option because there's always going to be outliers that affect the numbers that with the percentages. So doing it that way probably isn't the best, at least in my personal opinion. I think instead going the route of community feedback, maybe listening to some of the pros, although some of the pros might not have the best takes, they're the ones playing the game the most. They pretty much know the ins and outs of all the characters and the approach of what characters should be strong and probably what shouldn't be strong, and if a character is too strong in comparison to another. I think generally they would have a better insight because they're playing the game 24/7 like I mentioned. And again, the only reason why I mentioned that part is because Marvel Rivals or NetEase, whatever you want to call them, they go for the balancing approach of win percentage and pick percentage or pick rate, whatever you want to describe it as, and that's how they balance their game, which again, like I previously just mentioned, probably not the best approach. Now, remember, this video is not me blasting Marvel Rivals. This is a wish list of what I would like them to do. Maybe in the foreseeable future. Maybe it doesn't have to be Season 5, but maybe it gives them some ideas to how they should approach it. Now, this next topic is one that I've talked about a lot in its hero release. Now, Marvel Rivals releases a hero every season, so about every single month, which is, if you think about it, 12 heroes a year, which is quite a lot. And honestly, they're, in my opinion, not doing the best because they release 2 strategists in 10 months at the time of recording this, so prior to Season 5. But in Season 5, the speculation is that we're getting Rogue, and she is going to be a strategist, so that means we'll be having 3 strategists. I know that they have a year planned of heroes already, but I really question why can't they just set it up into a system where they release 1 Vanguard, 1 Duelist, 1 Strategist in a row, and just repeat that cycle, or mix it up every, here and there. I know they have dedicated, dev teams or partners, whatever, working on 1 or 2 specific characters, but it just seems like we've been talking about, there's so many Duelists already in comparison to Strategists and Vanguards that it is getting pretty overwhelming. I bet you if they started adding more Strategists, more Vanguards, a lot more people will come back to the game and play different roles than just Duelists. More options means more chances to play that role. I understand the approach they're going for. They're trying to go for like the most popular characters in Marvel, in quotation, most popular. But I think it's way better just to release what the community actually wants. They did a good thing by, I guess, releasing Angela, who was a Vanguard, who I think is a pretty good Vanguard. But again, they also added a duelist. Eventually, there comes to a point where there's going to be way too many characters to do anything, honestly. The ban system and ranked is going to be super expensive or super extensive. I said that wrong, apologies. But you get the picture. I feel like you're going to need like 20 bans or something. It's going to feel like League of Legends at that point. No, I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with adding a character every single season. I think that's fine. You bring new variety. I just wish the characters will be properly balanced, and when they're getting released, they're not just a duelist back to back, essentially. So I think if they just can get a proper system of the order, whether Vanguard, Duelist, Strategist in that order, releasing them every season, I think it would have been perfectly fine. But because they did that Blade to Phoenix, it just felt like a drought, and a lot of players got pushed away from that because it felt like your role was kind of undervalued. But at least that's my opinion of the hero releases. At least let me know what you think in the comments down below. I'm always interested to hear what you guys have to say. I love you guys as a community, so I would love to hear what you have to say. Now, the debated feature, the matchmaker. What is going on with the matchmaker? Some games feel winnable, some games feel unwinnable. Is there EOMM? Is there not? Is there, random numbers? Who knows? I just know that the matchmaker and just how they determine matches just doesn't feel that good. Whether it's EOMM, maybe there is, maybe there's not. I don't really care. Regardless of the point, the games just feel 50-50 a majority of the time. Or you just get way too many of the same roles that might be due to the decreasing of players, but that's besides the point. Regardless, there's an issue with the matchmaker. I think we can all agree with that, at least for ranked or even quick play if you also experience that. Something needs to be fixed about it. I'm not entirely sure what the fix is, unfortunately. I know they're adding or preparing to add placement matches, but honestly, I have no idea how placement matches are going to work, mainly due to the fact that we already have our ranks prior to the placement matches. Is there going to be a hard reset to the rank system? Who knows? I'm not really sure. Would that be added? Could that be added? I don't know. It's kind of like if they were going to have a rank system, you needed to have placements at the very beginning of the game, at least in my opinion. Otherwise, adding the rank system a little bit later on, I feel it's just going to be extremely hard to find your, in quotations, right rank. So again, I'm not entirely sure how they can fix ranked. I think placement matches is a good step, but to whether the placement matches will actually be impactful or do something, I don't know. I think the short answer to fixing everything would be hero select, which is you can only play strategist, you can only play a duelist, you can only play Vanguard. No, I don't like that. I like it being an open game. I love picking what I want to play, whether you're running, 4 Vanguards, 1 Rocket, whatever the case may be. I think adding the roll queue or roll lock was horrible on Overwatch's part. That's why I think Marvel Rivals is better in my opinion, because you can play whatever you want. It doesn't matter. You can play whatever hero you want. But the simple fix to a majority of the issues would in fact be roll lock, because it just fixes a lot of issues, unfortunately. But nobody wants that, which is perfectly fine. So again, I'm not really sure how they fix the matchmaker. I can't tell you with the certainty that I know anything either. But hopefully in Season 5, they can fix something or get an idea of how to fix it at least. Now, one thing I want to add is that I wouldn't mind them adding more updates. Now, back in Overwatch 1, when Jeff Kaplan was still there, he would have an update, was it every single Tuesday or whatever. And it would actually be some pretty significant changes or patches. This was back in like Overwatch Season 1, Overwatch 1. If NetEase can try to adopt that style, maybe not every single week, maybe every other week of it, a decent patch that would address certain balancing instead of waiting every single month for one major patch and them not fixing anything until the next patch would definitely fix a lot of the issues, at least in my opinion. If people are having instant issues with characters being too strong, so they're not strong for the entire season, and they're quickly adjusted. It seems like when it comes to Marvel Rivals, I'm not saying that they're slow or anything. Clearly they're focused on releasing characters and adding skins, which is fine. But if they want to get things fixed, they should probably do it as quickly as possible, because if you leave something broken for too long, it's just going to push people away. And as you're pushing people away, people probably don't want to come back because it's just repeating the same thing over and over. So if they could add maybe some more balancing into the equation just in general, it'd be probably a big beneficial factor to the game overall. And of course, adding more PvE modes, because it seems like a lot of players, particularly on the Steam charts, around 60,000 players came back to the game to play the zombies mode. So if they can make more variations of the zombies mode or PvE modes, I think a lot of players would like that for the more casual side, but I think you still have to address the competitive side, adjusting the game, balancing the game correctly so the game doesn't feel awful, at least in ranked play. Because I'll tell you, a lot of the people I've seen been playing ranked or have been playing ranked feel it's awful. It's always triple strategies. It's always this. It's always that. The game's always unbalanced. So hopefully in the near future, they can fix everything. They can address all the concerns that I have listed. Maybe we'll see it in Season 5. Who really knows? Now, hopefully this video gave you some topics to talk about, rant about in the comments down below. I would love to hear your opinions and have just an open discussion. I don't think there's anything wrong with an open discussion. But regardless, I hope you found this video helpful in any way, shape, or form. If you did, make sure to drop a like. Make sure to drop a sub as well. We're going for 50,000 subscribers before the end of the year. We're almost at that goal. But regardless, I hope you have a great and safe day, and I'll catch you in the next one.